Hello, hello, hello. It is Monday, May 19th. I think this is like the fifth time I'm trying to record this video in the last 5 days or so. This is going to be story number 10 as far as UFOs and UAPs. And I'm going to try to keep it short and I'm going to try to keep it quick. And it may sound like I'm stuck at times or that I'm trying to overthink things or that I'm trying to refrain. But as I tell this story, I'm trying not to get into certain things that were personal. And I'm trying not to give away some people's identities. So just bear with me, okay? Back in August of 2022, me and my partner, she was pregnant for the third time. And we were invited over to an individual's home, a friend of ours. And this individual was going to conduct a little ceremony for us on behalf of the baby, the child. I think it was in the first 3 months still. So, the soul that may have been coming in or may have already chose to come in, whatever we were in that stage, okay? And I know that sounds a little rude or a little rough, but it was what it was. And I'm trying not to pull too much forward. So this individual was always held in the highest of respect and light and regards and still is. Just like my, ex-partner / guru / metaphysical teacher who had such a huge impact on my life. Yeah, it's a 15-mile-an-hour speed limit, dude. You don't need to jack your truck up. The people here, it's just ridiculous. All the little animals getting killed lately are just, it's a bummer that they've barely been alive a month and people are running them over and whatnot on the roads. And it's just, I don't know, it's kind of sad. And meathead in a truck like that, it's just stupid. Plus, it's a forest preserve. It's a 15-mile-an-hour zone. People walking, hiking, biking, people, dogs, kids, and you don't need to speed through here in your cranked out Ram truck. So anyway, I get annoyed. I'm turning into an old person. So, what a rant. So I'm at this individual's home with my partner. We got a rug set up. We're sitting in a triangle. Everything has been set. The space has been set. It's a very high vibe place. Of course, my partner at the time was all over the energy and the space and, what she was holding and pulling through and bringing in and containering and, all that jazz. And, I was just going to sit there, hold space, be a part of it, obviously, as the father. And I think I had some crystal to hold. I don't remember what I was holding, but I was holding something. What's really interesting, though, is at the time I just went with the flow. I didn't ask any questions. I didn't ask specifically what it was for. I just kind of went with the flow, and I was appreciative, and I was thankful. And looking back on it now, there's definitely some things I think I'd like to know. So we're sitting there, and the ceremony begins, and things are happening. And I'm, with my eyes closed, which you can't see right now, but my eyes are closed. And I'm in a meditation, and I'm listening to what's happening and what's being said and just holding space, thinking about how it's for all of our highest best, the collective, this pregnancy, and everything else that's taking place. So I don't know that it was even 5 minutes into this ceremony that we were doing, that we were conducting, and that we were receiving from. And I could see, in my third eye, in all black space with my eyes closed, I could see a UFO right up there in the upper right-hand corner. Typical UFO, silvery, round, little dome, saucer, just sitting there, stagnant. And I was like, wow. I'm like, that's interesting. And then I'm like, is that my imagination? What's going on? So I think about 15 or 20 minutes went by in the ceremony, and there was some downtime, where it was quiet and we were just sitting. And, I was opening my eyes, kind of looking around. And I'm like, okay, we're still doing this. Everybody's still holding space. Everybody's still receiving. But I was looking at these huge picture windows that were like floor to ceiling almost, and, or halfway all the way to the ceiling, completely blue sky, clouds, lakefront, and I'm looking for the UFO. But there's no UFO up there that you can see with the human eye. Sorry, the allergens are really bad this last week or two, with all the winds and all the dust and all the dirt. So I go back into the meditation and I'm holding space and just kind of riding everything out. And I keep seeing just the UFO. And I'm like, well, that is so interesting. And it's happened before when I've been in group settings and group meditations and, group gong sessions or group crystal bowl ceremonies. because obviously the people holding the space are amplifying the space. And if they're amplifying the space, the vibration or the frequency, more's coming in, and it's safer and it's easier to connect and receive. And for me, it amplifies my energy and my abilities. And if I'm down here and some of these other people are normally up here, when we're all together, it's naturally going to elevate me. So I was just taking it all in. And I'm being like, okay, that's very interesting. And that UFO is just sitting up there. So after about 25 or 30 minutes of this, the ceremony had ended. We talked briefly. I think some things were mentioned or exchanged. And we didn't really dote on the pregnancy or what had just happened or what had just occurred or why. Not that I remember anyway. We kind of just went into me and all of us talking, and I was like, there's a UFO up there. I go, and even though my eyes are open now and the sky is blue and there's clouds and it's beautiful out, I go, there is a UFO up there. I go, I can see it. I go, it's like I can feel it. And the individual who owned the home, who was helping us with the ceremony and conducting everything and bringing through what we needed to receive or giving us what he had for us, mentioned that it's always there. And it has been with this individual their entire life. And it has been there because it's protecting this individual, looking out for this individual, because of all the work that this individual is doing, on the planet, in this plane, in this timeline, in this dimension. And I'm being very careful what I say about the individual or who this individual was and other factors. So I'm kind of thinking while I'm speaking. And as this individual was telling me this, I started mentioning some of my most recent experiences in 2022, which is stories, as you know, 9, 8, 5, 6, 7, and, maybe some other stuff that hasn't been recorded yet. And this individual started to answer everything for me, confirm everything for me, explain everything for me, and then, just straight up channeling and receiving information and telling me things. So I was very grateful for this. It was the last thing I expected going over there that day. And I was just happy to be receiving on a different level, for my partner and this unborn child and, whatever was to come for the future. And when this individual gave me about probably 30 or 40 minutes maybe of answers to my stories and my questions and the weird occurrences, it was very enlightening. It was very educational. It was very verifying and somewhat also entertaining at times. I was like, wow, I knew it. Or wow, that's what my partner's been telling me. Or wow, I've read books and seen shows and, this is just crazy. I didn't think I was crazy, but it was good to hear from somebody who has had these experiences or deals with this, and then they're sharing part of their life with you. Things you never knew, but now you understand even better about them. And then you realize how it relates to you. So this was so many years ago. And at the time I had mentioned to this individual, I was like, I just came off a really rough patch for a couple weeks. My spine went out, my body shifted, my knee was going bananas. I was having migraines. I'm like, I was just a fucking mess. I go, this is ridiculous. I go, then we had an experience. We were on a walk and we saw a cube. And this individual explained to me, what they're doing to my DNA, what they're doing to my body, what they're doing, with attunements or downloads or upgrades or removing things, and, why I'm here and what I'm doing to a degree. This individual didn't go all overboard like they were giving me a reading or a past life regression or, something of that nature. But what this individual said really hit home and it really made sense. And it was a lot, that my partner at the time had mentioned to me. It was a lot that she had explained in so many different ways, shapes and forms, like she always did. But it was obviously good to hear it from somebody else who you're not as close with. And they're just kind of reminding you maybe on what your partner had told you and then a little bit more. Or they're educating you and explaining to you things you need to hear that maybe you haven't heard, or maybe you need to hear it in a different way. And they were also, you know, probably tapped into my energy, of course, and what could be one of the reasons I was there, or a reason I didn't expect, because it's all divine timing, right? As I've said in the past, synchronicity, coincidence, you know, the universe and the way it works, or God's way of, you know, remaining unanimous when these coincidences and these things occur. It's just everything lining up. And you know what people would say is maybe a soul contract, and this individual helping me. So it really provided a lot of insight for the craft I saw, or I thought I saw. And this individual, you know, she was like, that's your family. Those are your brothers. They're coming back to let you know they're there to support you. You know, this individual was mentioning other things, and my partner just kind of sat there and listened too. She knew I needed to hear it, or she knew this was part of what maybe we were there for as well. Sorry, there's a text message popping up. And I hope that's not in my video. I don't think it'll be. But the thing is, you know, that is story number 10. And I think I'm just going to leave it at that because of this text message that just popped up. I saw the UFO plain as day in my third eye with my eyes closed in the meditation as we were all holding space. But looking out the windows, looking up into the sky, which was beautiful, you know, and full of clouds, I could not see a single thing. And what this individual confirmed to me about it always being there and it always being with this individual, and even a lot more information I can't even share and I won't share to respect the privacy, was very interesting and very unique. And then, like I said, all the answers I got. So some of the videos that are going to be coming forward talk about this in group meditations, in group settings, where people are holding the space, where the space has been set, where the space is containered and it's safe and it's locked down, where things are amplified, where things are in my third eye and not in my human eyes, you know, right, plain and center. Couldn't video it or photograph it if I wanted to. Maybe if I had other instruments, you know, infrared or night vision or certain things that see in different frequencies and different vibrations and different wavelengths, that would be possible. But I'm not that type of UFO adventurer right now. I don't have those type of funds, and that's just not my jam. And one last thing is some of these stories, I know one of them, story number 11, I think we'll get into telepathy. And then just some stuff that's confirmed to me in other ways, shapes, and forms, because it's how the universe works. It's how time is manipulated, because there's no such thing as time, right? It's the way spirit works. So peace, love, and light to all. A much shorter video today. I hope you can grasp it. I hope you are all well, and I hope this final version makes sense and I can delete all the other ones. I get distracted by everything. Peace out, y'all.